All right. Why don't we let Bonnie start for a change?
Hi, welcome to Nothing But Worry. I don't know the episode number. The host is Lance Ash, my husband, and I am Bonnie.
All right. Good job. All right. We might start mixing it up a little bit more like that in the future. All right. I am such a giddy mood because number one, I've maybe had maybe 3 hours of sleep today. I'm
And
also
three what? 3 hours of sleep and three what?
four now. Yeah.
For what?
Um,
Legal?
Legal edible
Gummies.
gummies with certain substances in them. And
Legal, under the Farm Bill.
yes, so I'm getting by on junk food and tea. And last night, I got to preface what I'm saying. We're doing the episode a day early because today starts my vacation. I have the holiday tomorrow off.
Yay,
Plus-
July.
Plus a regular 5-day work week bracketed by 2 weekends of 2 days each. So 10 days.
Woohoo.
So I don't give a flying fuck. And I don't think Bonnie gives a flying fuck either.
I do not.
So I'm going to enjoy myself. I have chores. I have errands and tasks and things want to get accomplished this week. But I'm not going to bust my ass. I'm sick of busting my ass. Last night at work was horrible. There was just two of us. Two of my category of surf. And so anyway, Amazon has gone absolutely bonkers, bullshit crazy, and there was so much
That's
fucking
the
mail.
lead-in to Prime, mind you. When Prime hits, it's going to be even worse.
And I'm not going to be there.
Yay!
It's the 8th through the 11th, I believe. Yeah, you're welcome for the free ad. So anyway, I have been, I got home this morning, and Bonnie's like, well, you going to go ahead and get started with your depravity? I'm like, well, I was planning on it, but I think I'm just going to do regular routine, eat and go to bed because I was so sleepy.
Well, you had a very light meal this morning. I made just a small sandwich for you, and I think you had something on the side.
Yeah, because I was so full from the night before. Anyway, I laid down. I couldn't sleep. So at 9:30, I took a gummy, and I thought, well, okay, I'll just lay here in the bed until
It kicks in.
it kicks in. And before I knew it, it was 10:30. I woke up, and it was like, oh, God, I'm really fucking baked. And you and I went to, hold on, what?
Yeah, you heard me out in the living room.
Yeah, Bonnie's dad came over. So I came in. Okay, that's something I did want to say.
The gummies make you
They
very chatty.
were talking, and I came in. I said, I'm starting to get stoned. It's starting to hit me. So I sat down and joined the conversation, and within 5, 6, 7 minutes, I was really stoned, and inside my head, I'm thinking, I cannot believe that you are able to converse rationally and clearly because you are inside. I mean, if they knew how goddamn stoned you were, they would not believe it.
I knew how goddamn stoned you were. My father did not. He's cool with
But why was
that sort of thing.
Was I talking a certain way or something?
No, you were just definitely more conversant than usual. You were somebody who's very reticent in your speech. You're kind of like me and Peter. You get exhausted when you have to deal with other people. And it really takes a lot out of you. So in order to talk, even to family members, it's just pulling teeth. And you just boop, sat there, listened to my dad talk about electronics and comparison of music files and recording methods and compression techniques. At this point, even my eyes were rolling back in my head going, oh God, Dad, please don't do this again.
I didn't know what in the hell he was talking about. And I didn't see the point of what he was talking about. It's like, I don't give a fuck. As long as the music sounds okay to me.
So my dad ended up offering us this amplifier that would work with your laptop. and we would have to buy speakers, and he's going to send me a link to the
I don't
speakers.
know if we're going to buy any goddamn speakers.
And then he also has these music files that were given to him, handed down from somebody who died. And it's this mega collection of 60s, 70s, and 80s music, rock and such, that is recorded at the studio recorded quality level. And whenever you transfer this kind of thing to CD, a lot of this quality is lost. And so my dad was explaining that the way that the files are compressed, you're able to run it through this specific amp that he's going to give you. And with these speakers he's going to send me a link to, you're going to hear music better than you've ever heard it before, like as if you were in the studio listening to them perform it. Of course, okay. I'm watching Lance, and I know Lance has no fucking clue what my dad's talking about, okay?
Well, then we dicked around for a while, and we went to go pick up some groceries. And we listened to Rammstein on the way up there and the Cult on the way back. And I had the best time listening to music loud in the car with you driving.
I have a theory that when Lance is impatient, and this has been proven out because he's actually said it, he puts on metal music so I'll drive faster. So another thing is the Subaru that we have is from 2023, and the sound system is standard. But it's fucking amazing. It's a really good sound system. So when you get in the car, you don't hear any of the road noise. And you are completely surrounded by this stereo. And he takes it up to 20, 23. I'm like going 18, keep it under 20. He's going 23, 25 on the volume level. But you're just rocking. And I'm like... Dear God,
she means that literally because she thought the car was messed up.
Yes, I did. At one point, I'm like, wait a minute, I need to turn this radio off so I can hear what's wrong with the car. And I'm like, what's going on? And I turned it back on, and it was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I was like, my God, it's the fucking music I'm feeling.
The Cult album we listened to is Born Into This. And that's another example of this strange history I have with the Cult. Where they'll come up with a record, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't sound like the stuff from the past I like. Oh, it's not any good. And then it grows on me over time. And that was one that was like that. When I first heard it, I was like, well...
What's the name of this one? The song?
Born Into This.
Oh, okay.
And, and that song, that ballad we listened to on the way at the end, when I first heard that, I was like, oh, God, what a simplistic song.
Do you know the song title off?
It's called Holy Mountain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked that.
Yeah, but I really like it now, too. So anyway, before we started recording tonight, I started telling her the story, and she said, "Well, no, save it for the show." So, Bonnie was in my room just now, and she saw this box that I had glued together.
What's in the box?
She goes, "What's the box about?" Okay, I'm going to make a treasure box because I collect crap. I mean, We're hoarders for little. We're like
hoarders.
I'll tell you exactly what we are.
We're
human. We're human versions of crows. We see something glittery and shiny and novel, and we'll gotta take it back to the nest and prop it just this way and that way.
I would like the audience to know that we are highly organized. Everything has its fucking place. Sometimes it doesn't get put back in its place, but we can walk clearly. There are designated not just paths. I keep shit off the floor. I don't let shit stay on the floor. We have pictures, sculptures, etc. all on the walls, on furniture.
I have to admit, one of the chores that's on the list for this week is cleaning up and organizing. Because I've got to get some organization. Anyway, so out of all this crap that I collect, some of it is stuff I've had for years, little trinkets and shit like that, And it has specific memories or associations attached to them. And I thought it'd be cool to have this all in the really special stuff all in one little box or a series of boxes within the main treasure box. Anyway, I was telling Bonnie the reason that this came to mind is because my mother, she probably still has it. She has a jewelry box that's like it's like a cheap jewelry box from probably
1960, 1955.
she was a teenager when she got it. Yeah, maybe 13, something like that. Maybe, I don't know, something like that. Anyway, but I was fascinated with it as a kid because she had all this stuff in there that wasn't necessarily jewelry and wasn't necessarily expensive. A lot of it was very sentimental stuff. It has specific memories attached to it. She had I can't remember what color it was, but she had a necklace that she had braided, and she had a little dog brooch with real fur on it.
Ew.
Yeah, it was really cool looking.
Ew, it's gross sounding.
And she'd gotten that somewhere. For some reason, it makes me think she got that when she was taking that modeling class up in Atlanta. But anyway, and then she had all this stuff that her aunt that she really liked had given her, and this stuff here and there. Oh, she had a charm bracelet that was associated with, I believe, with her honeymoon, because it was all these little, each trinket or each charm on the charm bracelet was associated with something from their honeymoon, like when they went to Gatlinburg, rode the ski lift or whatever.
Huh.
So anyway, I just thought it'd be cool to have something like that. Even though I'm a male.
But you're an old crow who collects baubles and shiny trinkets.
Yeah. I don't let myself be defined by my gender, nor do I let my gender be defined by...
Is that why you're wearing that lacy garter belt right now? Just kidding.
I do have a homemade bracelet on, though.
Yes, you do.
One of my toenails is painted black.
Just one.
Yeah. It's a pain in the ass.
Are you wearing any of your earrings right now?
Mm-mm. I go through phases. Like once a year I'll put them in. Once every 2 years.
Which means reopening the hole.
No, my ear piercings never grow up.
I have tried to have ear piercings 2 or 3 times, and I get such massive fucking headaches. They've just grown over. I don't even bother.
Did I ever tell you about my dad discovering I had pierced ears?
No.
Okay. The summer after I graduated from high school, and that whole year afterwards, it was like being liberated. And
Freedom!
I went a little crazy, and I got several piercings here and there. Anyway,
Was that the year you got your nipple pierced?
No, that was long after that. Yeah, but so I didn't want my parents to know I had a pierced ear, so I would take the earring in and out every day when I would come home. I guess I was working at the shoe store at that time. Anyway, for fun, I put in a big pearl earring and went to sleep with it in, not remembering.
Oh my God.
And my dad came in to wake me up to go to work, and I turned over and he saw it, and he just freaked the fuck out. Oh my God. Ah! It's like he'd seen something horrible, you know.
When Peter was in middle school, I redid my jewelry section and had some of them on display and such. And I still had jewelry left over from the 80s, and that was big jewelry season, you know. And I had a pair of probably 1-inch round flat pearl earrings with gold around them, and they were clip-ons. And Peter saw those, and he goes, "Oh my God, can I have those?" Sure, I can't wear clip-ons anymore because they also give me headaches. And so Peter still has my big giant pearl clip-on earrings. So every once in a while he'll put those on and walk around the house with them.
And it's
And he has
amazing.
since bought numerous clip-on earrings at estate sales.
It's amazing to me. His little costume play just about irks me to death. And yet, I did the same fucking thing and still
I
do.
don't know that you ever wore long flowing skirts so you'd feel like you were hanging out in free.
I,
Whereas he likes doing that around the house. And it looks like those kind of Javanese skirts that men wear because they're always
yeah,
long
they
and
have a name for
narrow and
those.
they kind of flow with the bottom.
Kind of like saris, I think, or something
And
like that. I can't remember.
but he just has
Sarong. I can't remember what.
he has this thing about comfort. For years he wore pajama pants around the house that first ones were flannel, because I got those when he was in elementary school. And then some point or another in middle school, high school, he saw my pajama pants and he goes, I like those. And so when I would get rid of clothes, he'd go through my clothes and he'd get my pajama pants out and wear them as everyday clothes around the house. And mind you, some of them were, rather everyday in appearance instead of just PJs.
I wish I could still fit into those leisure pants that I bought at that thrift store. Remember those? You remember where Big City Bread later was? There was a thrift store there a long time ago.
Thrift right there.
I bought, they look like pajama pants, but they're the kind of pants my grandmother would make out of a piece of material.
The drawstring.
Drawstring,
Absolutely.
just the most basic pants
that was what
possible.
my pajama pants were like. I would buy these loose-fitting drawstring pants. So when I got rid of them, even with my hips, they would just kind of hang on Peter with the drawstring. They fit fine.
I was 25 pounds lighter when I got those pants. I wish I could. I don't even know what I did with them.
I have no clue. I don't even recall.
We had big plans for this week, but I think I'm gonna be just too tired.
No, you're gonna be just too fucking stoned.
No, I've done a lot of cleaning and things in my time when I was stoned, but it's just you got to get some sleep and.
Several times in the past, I have gone on micro-organizing binges, and Lance always refers to them as cocaine flashbacks because I would sit there with a container and I would organize the screws into each little section according to what size they were.
Being a child, sometimes you can get into that state of mind when you're alone. I mean, I had just tons of little toys and toy pieces, and I would sometimes sort them.
For me, as an adult, part of it has to do with money because I know that I own this, and I get tired of people. We have a container that if you don't put the things back in the tool section, you put it in the container. Well, the container, this basket I have, gets full, so I have to go and sort through it. And that's what I was doing that time, and I realized, well, I've got this little organization bin over here, so I might as well. And so I went through all these goddamn nuts and bolts and screws and nails and stuff and just organized everything. And that was because I got tired of going, oh, we can't find the such and such size thing we need. We're going to have to go buy it at Lowe's. It's now $5.64 for a package.
Do you remember when you organized all Peter's toys?
That was a different sort of thing. Do you want me to explain that?
Well, Peter was having behavioral problems.
He couldn't focus.
And so Bonnie decided that he needed, our lives or something had gotten unstructured and he needed to have structure reintroduced.
More structure. We always had organization. I was very proud of the fact that our kids had a schedule and they had routines. But when he was in second or third grade, he started acting out in class and had to go through mandatory counseling where they brought in an outside counselor to the school to help deal with his attention problems. And we were absolutely, adamantly opposed to putting him on drugs. And so we were dealing with a behavioral therapist. And so he's going down the checklist. Yes, he goes to bed at a certain time. Yes, he gets up at a certain time. Yes, he eats at a specific time, etc. Well, we had in his room two large Rubbermaid containers of toys. And he would just scoop them up literally with a scoop, like
Dustpan.
dustpan,
Yeah.
and throw them in there. And when he wanted to find something, he would turn the entire container over and start sorting through it, and the entire floor would get covered with this layer of toys of all different sizes. And so as I was dealing with this shrink, this behavioral therapist, I decided to go in and look at his room. I always had a rule. Okay, it's bedtime. Put your toys in the toy box. That's fine. But I went in there and I looked at this toy box, and it was like this light bulb going off. My God, no wonder the kid gets so frustrated he can't find anything. So I went to Walmart and I bought shoe boxes. These plastic shoe boxes for storing shoes in your closet. And I went through his toy box. And I got all the Legos together. I got all the whatever blocks together, all the cars together, etc. And so I began to put them in individual containers. And Peter got home that day and he saw what I was doing. He goes, well, all the Legos need to be such and such. And he goes, I've got the boxes. And pulls out these flattened boxes from underneath his bed. He goes, this goes with this set, this goes with this set. And these are 400 and 500 piece sets. And the kid sat there and he put together these Lego toys. And I'm like, okay, we've got some shelf space. You can keep out your favorite ones to display. I said, but how about we take the picture from the box and we put it on this plastic box in a label that says such and such dinosaur, whatever series. And I said, we keep all of the things that belong to this Lego creature, machine, etc. in this box. He goes, I like that. Because it was taking him so long. And this was over a course of a couple of days because he's having to rebuild Lego sets. And so I custom built shelves on one side of his closet on the side. And they fit exactly these boxes. And he was able to find everything, and it really changed his behavior because he was able to focus instead of getting frustrated all the time.
I was just thinking just now, someone might question, why does your child need so many toys? And I just thought, I think one of the reasons
It
that
encourages creativity.
well, no, I was going to say more than that. It encourages a child to keep track of stuff.
And it
It's
encourages
something.
imagination.
I mean, it's like I knew kids growing up who their idea of playing with their toys was to break them and smash them together and just because they had no concept of responsibility for the idea behind what the toy stood for, and they had no sense of keeping track of their stuff. Like, well, how many of these do you have? They could say right off the bat, somebody like me or Peter, because I kept track of everything, all my toys.
Yes, you did. We have a lot of them today.
I'll pass them down to my kids.
Yes, you did.
Jeez, books too. I wish it's a common theme with me. I wish I had all those fucking books back again.
I don't know where we put them. We've had I don't know how many yard sales over the years trying to clear out stuff. Remember the year that we tried to have a yard sale here? And we told the kids, if you want to sell anything, you can have the money from whatever you sell. Well, Peter got so upset when he saw his toys out there for other people to take. He just ran out there and just took them all back and just brought them in the house. He's like, I don't want to get rid of anything.
This is we weren't here very long when this happened, but this is the yard sale where Bonnie was outside dealing with the customer service, and I was in the house with the kids, and Reed's kindergarten teacher came.
I don't know.
I think it was her kindergarten teacher came with her husband, and I said, "Oh, is that your teacher? Oh, she is good looking. Oh my God, maybe I should run away with her." And our daughter Reed goes, "Papa, Mama loves you."
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
She's always been funny. You remember when she was little, you would play bear with Peter. Bear's going to get the baby. And she would just get upset. No, Bear's not going to get the baby.
She
And
would stand in front of the TV screen, just right in front of it, if people were arguing on the TV, and she would just rave and rant in this gibberish like she was
she'd
joining
get
in.
very upset.
Yeah.
She didn't understand how anybody could. How were Homer and Marge fighting?
Well,
And then there was the King Kong thing. She loved the 1933 King Kong movie. And she had a gun at one point, and she said, I'm getting my gun, I'm going to shoot that King Kong.
one time at the old house, Bonnie and I were really having a big fight in the kitchen, and she got between us and she did her little thing.
Yeah, it was funny, but sad. Very sad.
You can't help but fuck your kids up. You just can't.
Yeah.
You warp their brain no matter what you do.
Your mom and dad, they fuck you up. That Philip Larkin poem.
Yeah, I need to read that again.
Yeah.
So we don't have. I just want to get some fucking artwork done this week. Is all I really care about. Oh no.
Yeah, we always go into these vacations with this great list of intentions. What are our intentions? The intentions go into we eat well, we sleep whenever the fuck we want. Oh, my dad and Stephanie have now been retired for 19 years. My dad and I were talking today about finances and money and stuff. And he and Stephanie are big on budgeting. I mean, they have $200 each from Mad Money every month. They can spend on whatever they want. And then they have a designated amount that goes into savings every month. And when he gets home from the grocery store, they go over the grocery list. And they discuss the prices. And so when he and I get together, we inevitably talk about the prices. And today it was the price of food and how it's gotten to the point where we just shop at Walmart. And I was trying to also mention that the good comparisons to Aldi, but the limited selection they have. And he couldn't believe that Aldi was able to beat Walmart on certain things. But
Yeah. Well, I can only hope that when I retire, we're able to get by. I'll probably never be able to retire. Not unless you good folks out there spread the word about my artwork and start buying it in large quantities for big sums.
yeah, the thing that bothers me most is since we moved into this house 20 what years ago?
In October, Halloween, it'll be 22 years.
22, is that all?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was... Okay, yeah, 2003. So I keep up with the paying the bills, and the mortgage back then, the mortgage was $525 for the house, and then on top of that you pay escrow. And initially it was like $625 for the payment with the escrow, and now we're up to about $800 a month because of the taxes and the insurance. And the last couple of years has really gone up a lot, especially the insurance cost.
Escrow would be a good name for a band.
A little too boring and...
That's the whole point. I had a name the other day.
I mean, what next? Bankruptcy?
No, I had a name the other day that was sort of like that. Shit, I can't think of it.
Cream cheese.
Well, no. It was something like, okay, I had another name for a band, The Agenda. What do you think of that?
I think there's probably already somebody.
Yeah, I know it's too obvious, but it was something like this, like The Administrators or
I
something.
think there's one that's also that.
That's a great name for a band.
The Administrators.
It'd be like a duo. You didn't know that The Cult was a duo.
No, I didn't. Because, well, there's more than just more than two instruments,
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, when you told me Santana was just the duo basically, and they would just hire studio musicians.
No, no, Santana wasn't.
Santana. Who am I thinking of?
The Cult,
No, 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 no. Who was
White's
two? What was it? Who was in Santana?
Santana, and the guys who later founded Journey. Some of them were in it.
Steely Dan. That's who I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay,
That's who I'm
yeah,
thinking
yeah.
of.
Steely Dan was just a duo on this.
Yeah.
Whoever they hired, which is, see, they hated touring, so after they did one tour for the very first record, they decided we're never going to tour again. We're just going to be a completely studio group. They were able to just hire people to come in to do session work for one day or so, and then they were able to make those records as perfect as they could, as they wanted, their ideal arrangements. That'd be the perfect way to have a band.
What was it you and my dad were talking about earlier? Meatloaf?
Yeah.
Highway to Hell? What was that?
Bad Out of Hell.
Bad Out of Hell. Okay. Oh shit. The other something hell. I'm in hell.
I got to tell you, I have never really explored that record. I owned it back around '87 and never really gave it a fair shake, and I just don't know much about it.
It is amazing to me the things that my parents watch. They sit there and they watch 1 to 3 hour interviews with musicians from 1973. And it's a retrospective, and they go and they talk to the producer or anybody who might have known the producer while he's overdosed.
I find that kind of thing fascinating,
Yes.
and I wish my wife was equally fascinated by it.
I guess I'd have to be on gummies, huh? I can't tell you how many times I've had to go over to my parents' house, and they're like, "Look, we've got Jeff Beck with Imogene Heap here. We're gonna watch this performance. It lasts for 2 hours. Take a seat, Bonnie. Put your feet up." Okay, Dad. And then they'll stop it and they go, "Did you know that Jeff Beck played with such..." Yes, Dad, you've told me this. "Did you know that Imogene..." Yes, Dad, okay. All right. And go back and play. So suddenly that 2 hour thing becomes 3 hours with the interruptions from the old people. I love my old people, though. But
Oh, Lord.
the ultimate retirees, my folks.
I was just remembering when I found out Jeff Beck died. I was working at the other place, and this guy drove by and said, "Hey, did you hear Jeff Beck died?" And I went, "No." I said something like, "No fucking way."
I'm sure you got home that afternoon and found an email from my stepmom going, "Did you know Jeff Beck died today?"
No. What I was going to say is something briefly about the Cult. Billy Duffy is the guitar player with the Cult, and he is a great example of somebody who, when he started off, wasn't that fantastic of a guitar player, but he's somebody who improved over time. I remember reading a story. He was taught to play slide guitar by George Harrison. Isn't that pretty cool?
That's very cool.
When George Harrison discovered Indian music, he stopped playing guitar for a long time to devote himself to learning the sitar. And when he went back, when he was forced to go back to playing the guitar because he had to start another recording session, he said basically he had ruined his fingers for playing the guitar. He couldn't play guitar properly again. So that's when he decided to become a slide player, and decided, the way I read the article years ago is he decided to become one of the greatest slide guitar players in the world. What? That band was so full of talent.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And I never listened to the Beatles anymore. If I ever listen to the Beatles, it's the Revolver album. That's pretty much it. I don't know why.
We go through phases where we will pull somebody out from the stacks and we will explore everything. For a while we did the George Harrison, because there's so many different phases of George Harrison. You've got the Beatles, the India after India. Then you've got his solo, but then after that, this collaboration with ELO
Jeff Lynne.
Jeff Lynne. And that got him into collaborating with everybody who became the Woolberries. And it was just fun. And it's still fun to be able to listen to something and go, hey, that's George Harrison's voice. Or that's George Harrison playing,
Those last 2 records that he did before he died with Jeff Lynne, those were the best ones. The 70s stuff, he never had a decent... The Beatles were too, I don't know, bizarrely enamored with Phil Spector. And I don't understand why they let him run rampant. But yeah, I've still never really soaked into All Things Must Pass. You're a big fan of that record.
That's the thing. I'm not anymore. Because I became such an avid fan of the whole Jeff Lynne influence. But there's a few things when he goes solo after the Beatles that I appreciate. But you're right. Producers a world of difference.
Yeah. I love that last record, Brainwashed. That's a great record.
Today we were talking about Todd Lundgren. Todd
Rundgren.
Rundgren. Blech. Blech. I couldn't say it. And what a good producer he is. He had produced the Meatloaf album that we were discussing.
He produced Cheap Trick's Next Position Please album, which I really like that record. I wish I had that on LP. Great album cover.
So who are the best producers in your opinion? We've got Jeff Lynne, Todd Rundgren. We've got Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
Who else we got here?
Well, you have George Martin, who created
the whole Beatles sound, with
the
horns and
modern day rock
yeah.
and roll producer. And I don't know. I'm not big into all that.
Who was the other big one other than Rubin?
I don't know. There's 10,000 great producers. But the thing is, you talk about different genres. Like in metal, you've got Martin Birch, and you got names that you've never heard of probably. And
you used to have a top 5 list.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll give you a good producer. Jimmy Page was a great producer. He was a better producer than he was a guitar player.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Led Zeppelin owes the greatness of those albums to the fact that Jimmy Page is a great producer, a genius producer. Yeah. And
that says something.
But I
didn't know that he was their producer.
Yeah. He that's one of the reasons he just pisses me off. He's a great guitar player too, but he just, ever since Zeppelin broke up, he just didn't do anything worth a shit.
Do you have any idea who produces the Plant and Alison Krauss?
I don't know. I think it's somebody obscure. Nobody that I know or give a shit about.
Bob Rock. Not him.
No.
Bob Rock was one of the other producers who used to go on about.
It's funny how Bob Rock worked with the Cult a lot. He worked with Motley Crue a couple of times, I think, and he's mainly known for doing Metallica's biggest commercial records. I think he's gone from their lives now, though. He produced a terrible David Lee Roth record.
Okay. Who produced the Duran Duran album that you like from the 2000s?
Oh, from the 2000s, I don't know.
Was it Timberlake one of them?
What was it? Okay, I get Timbaland mixed up with Timberlake.
Oh.
It's one of the two. I think it's Justin Timberlake produced one of those. I like those records. I like the fact that Duran Duran is basically a disco group.
Are we ever going to buy the Halloween album?
I don't know. I need to buy the last 2 Cult albums before I do that.
Jeez. Okay.
But yeah, that Halloween album by Duran Duran is really, really good. It's funny, that reminds me, I have just lost my taste for Ghost. And it'll probably come around another year, I'll go back to them, but I don't give a shit about them anymore.
Today, when I was listening to the Rammstein, I thought, we used to listen to this all the time. I used to crave it. I used to have it run through my head. And now I don't ask for it anymore when you go, any suggestions on what to take? It used to be every time it was Rammstein, whatever you got, you know?
Yeah, and I went through.
And for a while it was Ghost, whatever you got.
Yeah. I went through this phase. I go through it occasionally, once a year, of listening to Van Halen's last record, because it's just fucking phenomenal. I hate people who carp and bitch about minor shit. Oh, these people are familiar with all the obscure rare demos of Van Halen's early years, and they are like, well, the songs on that last record, they're all based on old demos. Well, who gives a fuck? I mean, what does that got to do with anything?
Well, the thing I liked about that album was that there were complementary pieces to some of their hits. Stay Frosty, Ice Cream Man.
Yeah.
There were a couple of other songs I haven't listened to it in quite a while, but they were like a nod back to what they'd done before.
Same thing with that last Black
Sabbath
yeah.
13. Yeah.
That's another thing.
The Earth?
I've mentioned these records before as being examples of something that was better than it needed to be. Because the fans were clamoring for a Van Halen reunion and clamoring for Black Sabbath reunion, and they would have gobbled up whatever they, recorded and spit out. But they both did really, really amazingly.
Some of their best work.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to go out on a high note.
Yeah, it's too bad they couldn't have gotten original drummer. But.
What the hell is the deal? I heard that Black Sabbath's going to have another couple of live performances.
They're supposed to.
How is Ozzy going to walk on the stage?
Well, I don't know.
He's more purple than I am, man.
They're all in really bad health except for Geezer, and they just want to do this one last time because they didn't get to go on. They didn't do the reunion with the original drummer, which always sort of stuck in everybody's craw. So I think that's part of it.
Well, he said he didn't want to do the touring anymore.
It's just a one show thing. They're gonna make a big movie out of it and shit.
Oh yeah, even more money. Yeah, the funny thing is, didn't they already do that last show shtick about 10 years ago?
Ozzy's been retiring for 40 years.
And Sharon's been pushing him back on stage for 40 years.
He's sitting on a pile of money. I bet he's worth $450 million. Easily.
You mean he and Sharon?
Well, it's the same as anybody like that, really. I don't know. To be at that level of your profession. Well, I can't think of anything else at the moment.
Because we don't want to talk politics.
No.
Because we'll get really upset.
I'm ostrich in the sand now because I'm just terrified.
I am still working on that damn article about survival foods for basically trying to live on the bare minimum for groceries. It's driving me nuts. And now that the big, beautiful bill, which it isn't, has passed, it's twisted the article once again. Because it's going to affect the amount of food stamps people get. And that was part of the article that I've been writing.
Oh, I forgot something I did want to mention. Tomorrow is the 4th of July, which marks... hold on now. It marks my 29th anniversary of becoming a professional painter.
Oh, well then, in that case... Congratulations, Mr.
Because the night before was when I had that dark night of the soul. Bonnie and I were laying in bed, and Reed was just a few months old, our firstborn kid, and I just had a freak out attack in the night laying in bed. I was just babbling to Bonnie, I'm getting older, and I'm not doing anything.
You still had a head full of hair back then. Thanks, buddy.
Let's not start throwing accusations like
Yeah,
that of
okay. Or
age.
else you'll be taking pictures of all my gray hair. All
So
of it.
anyway, I had just a wig out, and I was like, I'm not doing anything with my life. I got all this stuff I want to do that I'm interested in, and I'm not doing anything. And I decided that night I would pick one thing and make it the number one thing that I did. That was my main focus. And I picked painting. And I have never looked back. It was one of the greatest decisions of my life. It was just
And
amazing.
has your wife supported you in this decision?
Yes, yes, and I'm really grateful to Bonnie for. She realizes how important it is to me. She makes
Yeah.
allowances
Absolutely.
and time for it and everything, and it's turned out really well.
Over the years, I have listened to stories about your family and all the problems. Your mother decided that your father was not going to go horseback riding. Your mother decided your father was not going to go drink beer with his brother. Your mother decided that your father was not going to go to the football games. That your mother decided that it was all of this list of, you're not going to do such and such. You're going to conform to these standards of what a normal family
he
is.
told me they were having trouble, and he had gone back to her or something. I don't remember. I don't know the chronology. But I said, look, I was down there visiting when they were still living next door. And I went down there and said, there's a really great exhibition of art at the Georgia Museum of Art. I think that you'd really like to go see it. You want to go see it with me right now? He goes, I really want to, but she'll insist on coming along with me. Oh, no, no. And I'm like, this is what I said. I basically told him, just tell her you don't want her to come, or just don't worry about it, or just don't even tell her we're going. And he's like, I swear to God, it was like that Foghorn Leghorn cartoon where the weasel goes, you want to go fishing, and Foghorn Leghorn goes, say I'll do it. And so he gets in the car with me, and it was just like, he was so upset by being tied to her all the time. You know?
Yeah, after they got divorced finally, and I spent all that time with your father, and I don't know why people do this. They talk to me and they confess everything. He was telling me all these stories. He goes, I'd get home, I was out on the carrier route. I'd been out in the hot sun all day. I'd walk in the door, and she's on me. I need for you to move the couch. I need for you to move this chair. I need for you to go out and cut the grass. I need for you to... He goes, I get so tired. He said, it got to the point where I would just go in, and I would lay down on the floor. And I would just lay there in the middle of the floor.
When he
she would walk in and start...
When he started running, he told me that one of the things he loved about it so much was that he was away from his problems, and even at the time, I was like, well, I didn't know what all this was going on, but I was like, what do you mean problems? Like, what are you weighed down by so much? I didn't know that he was having all this difficulty with my mother.
But from the time you were 7 years old, he wanted to leave her.
Well, I don't know.
They stayed married for 42 years.
Yeah.
30 years of misery. The
But
length of our marriage, he spent absolutely miserable in marriage.
Yeah. I'm
Miserable?
kind of no. I am miserable too. No. I'm surprised that our marriage turned out so well. Did they marry for the wrong reasons? Did they pick the wrong partner?
One of the things was they absolutely refused to test drive the car.
Well, I wouldn't have been born if they had had sex before marriage.
Yeah, they wouldn't have stuck it out together. That's for damn sure. Oh Lord.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Well,
I don't like being touched like that.
How old was she when she finally got married?
He,
21, 22?
I think he was 21, 22. No, he was 22 when I was born, and they
Oh.
got married. They lived together after getting married for several years before they had a
And she
kid.
was, what, 25 and he was 20?
So I'm going to go on a limb and say that he was 19 when he got
Oh
married,
my God.
and she would have been 4 years older, 23.
God.
Because he got married in his Air Force uniform. He knew that as soon as he graduated high school, he was going to get drafted, and he didn't want to go in the Army, so he signed up with the Air Force
Yeah.
before they could get him in the draft.
Yeah.
And he had, I think he'd already gone through basic training, came back to get married, and then got shipped off to Vietnam right afterwards. So he got married in his Air Force uniform.
And you were born after he got back home from Vietnam.
Right. Yeah, so they lived, because they lived, when he got back from Vietnam, he was stationed in Tampa for a while. They lived there together. He was stationed at Myrtle Beach for a while. They lived there together. And it must be, I really don't know the sequence of events, but he must have bought that gas station with my grandfather when he got out of the Air Force. Because they have pictures of me visiting the gas station, and I am little, like maybe 2.5, 3, standing with the three of them in the parking lot of that place. And behind us is the Kentucky Fried Chicken that's now a
Gas station?
no, it's a
Title Pond.
Title
place.
Pond thing, yeah. And nobody knows it used to be a Kentucky Fried Chicken. When I was a kid.
Isn't the Domino's now a Happy Spa? Happy Indian Spa?
Not anymore. Now it's a Verizon
Oh my God.
dealership. But when I was a little kid, going to Kentucky Fried Chicken and getting the bucket with they didn't have biscuits back then. They had rolls. The mashed potatoes and gravy were ungodly good, and the coleslaw was fantastic. But they never would let me get one of those pre-made desserts in the little plastic the box, you know.
I don't know that I ever had one there either.
They were
but
parfaits, I think is what
it
they
was
called
a
them.
treat just to get KFC.
Yeah, it was so tasty before they did all that
those
crunchy
whipped
shit.
potatoes
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
brown gravy. What's in the gravy? It's brown and water.
It was really good, though. It was distinctive tasting. It's funny. I don't miss any of that. I don't. And I know how people feel, you know. How do you get along without eating meat? Well, it's just you develop a mental block against it. You don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, I'm all the time doing posts about recipes and stuff. They're all vegetarian. And there's so much variety to be had. I don't know why anybody would think, how can you live without meat?
They always ask me, "What do you eat?"
Today when we went to get the Walmart
Oh my God,
pickup,
yeah.
the woman saw we had tofu. She goes, how do you use that? What
She
does it
said,
taste
"What is
like?"
it? What does it taste like?"
I said, well, it doesn't taste like anything. It tastes like whatever you mix it with or marinate it with.
It does have a taste. It's very, very subtle. It's like,
Plain beans without salt.
well, I was going to say it's kind of like unflavored oatmeal. It's just a flat grain taste, cereal
So,
taste.
The last thing I made with tofu was this past weekend. I crumbled up tofu and I marinated it with several things, and I put the crumble in the stove, and I baked it up as if it were TVP, textured vegetable protein.
Mm-hmm.
And we had that on tortillas this weekend.
Yeah.
And that was really good because we had a salsa and avocados and cilantro, tomatoes, lettuce, your sour cream, my vegan sour cream, my vegan cheese, your regular cheese, and then the Cholula hot sauce. and that was kick ass. And it was very unusual tasting. It didn't taste anything like ground beef. And it tasted so much better than the TVP you buy because it had a lot more seasoning. And the TVP is basically, it's like, imagine ground beef that's already cooked and crumbled, and it's only salty and it has little or no flavoring. But when I make my own TVP, I add in like mushroom umami flavoring. It's a seasoning you can get, and the nutritional yeast, and a vegetable bouillon
So what
cube.
form
And
of the umami did you use? Did you use that accent or something else you bought?
no, it's a thing called mushroom umami seasoning.
Is it a
It's
liquid?
no. I also use liquid aminos, and those are soy based as opposed to
Well, I
mushroom
want to see
based.
this stuff. I want to smell it and taste it when you,
Yeah,
if
it's
you
stuff in the
remember.
pantry.
Okay.
But then I've got onion powder and garlic powder in it, and all this stuff. Oh, and tomato paste. So all this stuff gets mixed up in a bowl. You crumble the tofu in it, and then you sprinkle the whole thing with nutritional yeast. Spread it out in the pan,
I'm just reminded all of a
and make your
sudden.
own.
I think I was living next door. This is before we got married, but I might have been visiting up on the hill with my parents, and my dad and I watched this documentary on hyenas, which
Oh no! Is
it,
this the famous phrase?
yes, it's a matriarchal society, and the alpha females have, I can't remember the technical name for it, but it's called a mock penis, and it's used for the, okay, the phrase is sniff and lick the mock penis, and it's a way for the subordinate females to show deference to like the queen,
Wait,
right?
wait. So the fake tofu mock meat made you think of
No,
mock
just for
penis?
some reason, I don't know what.
Mock penis.
No,
Okay,
okay,
okay.
I know what it was. I said I want, I want to smell it and taste it about the umami, and I thought sniffing the mock penis. But I was watching it with my dad, and the embarrassment that was palpable in the room between the two of us, it was like psychic power.
Oh my god.
And then later, it was talking about how the hyena is one of the very few animals whose jaws are powerful enough to eat bones. And my
God.
dad was like, these creatures are evil and must be purged from the planet.
I doubt he was that articulate in the statement.
Oh my God. Oh, they were disgusting. They're disgusting creatures. Oh God. What is it? Huh,
What?
No, nothing. Go on.
Wasn't he the one that criticized you watching ballet or opera or something
Oh yeah.
on
Well,
PBS?
I've told this story recently, but yeah, PBS. When I was a kid, well, first of all, there was no cable around here until I was around 17. But anyway, when I was a little kid, PBS was the only avenue you had to get into a broader world. And so one night I'm in the television watching room, right? And this happened a couple of times, but the big incident was they had a production of Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, and I thought it was really good. It was really well done. And my dad came in the room because it was time for him to enjoy television as well. And since I've already got it on, he has to show some, solicitude for what I am watching. So he's going to give it a fair shake, but he couldn't take it. He was shifting and snorting and bouncing around in his seat like he couldn't take it, like ants in his pants, because this was just the most effeminate nonsense ever. Oh my God, it's
Men in tights.
Well, they weren't in tights, but it's a lot of primping around with costumes and shit and dialogue that makes no sense by our standards.
Come on.
Yeah. And so finally, I just jumped up and I'm like, you watch what you want to watch. And I went to my room and finished watching it on this shitty, portable, black and white television with a coat hanger for an
Let
antenna.
me guess. Rockford Files music starts coming through the wall or something.
I'm sure it was something like that he picked out,
Jeez.
But And
Son, it's Wednesday night.
another time, I don't know, but I embarrassed him several times by watching stuff that he wasn't prepared for. Okay, I'll go ahead and just say this. This is a horrible story, and I hate recounting it, but
But you're going to.
all right. My friend Mitch came over to visit. I was living up in the house on the hill with my parents, and I had a VHS copy of The Last Emperor. Which, have you ever seen it? You've seen the whole thing, right?
Yeah, I've seen it.
I've seen it a couple of times. But there's a scene. Okay, he has a wet nurse when he's a baby and a toddler, and he keeps her as part of his royal entourage, imperial entourage, for years and years, even though he's in his teens or whatever. And he's going through this lonely period and everything. And there's a scene in the movie where he's sitting next to her and he opens up her shirt and pulls her tit out and sort of puts it in his mouth like for comfort. Okay, well, anyway, my friend Mitch and I are watching the movie and I know we're getting close to that scene, okay? My dad comes in and sits down, and I don't know what to do. I'm so embarrassed, I decide to just let Mitch handle it. I got up and left the room and left him alone in the room with my dad to bear this scene together. And Mitch was like, eventually my dad came out and I knew, okay, the coast is clear. I can go back. And he goes, why did you leave me alone with him? Oh my God. I felt so shitty and I can't imagine the embarrassment. Oh my God. But anyway, I have not shared that story with anyone ever since that happened.
I actually haven't heard that one. I have heard all your stories, I thought. I've heard all your stories many, many times.
I'm sure there's some more stories that you have not heard yet. Oh my God. I'll tell you. Oh, this is another one. This is sort of subjective addition to a comparison that I've made before. There are several points of similarity between the two Woody Allen movies, Bananas and Sleeper. Well, there's a subjective connection too for me because one of them was on PBS. Can't remember which one. Might have been Bananas. And I wanted to watch it, and there's a scene, he says something about sex. Oh, I know what it is. He's on trial at the end, and he asks that cop, he's cross-examining, and he says, officer, have you ever had sex with a woman with really big breasts? And my mother was in the room when this came on, and she freaked the fuck out, and I couldn't finish watching the movie. So, like a year or two later, I'm in a hotel room with my parents, and they got cable, and The Sleeper was on. And it's the scene where Diane Keaton and Woody Allen are sitting on the stairwell, and she says something about, do you want to perform sex with me? And my dad was in the room, and he freaked the fuck out, and I couldn't finish watching the movie.
When I was growing up, my dad would take us to movies, and one of the earliest movies I remember seeing with him was James Bond movie. It was Roger Moore, the one in Greece. They end up floating in some kind of
It's The Spy Who Loved Me
or something at the end.
Yeah.
So we went home. We said, "Well, we got to see a James Bond movie," and this is whatever year that it came out.
79.
In the theater. And so I'm young, and I'm not even, I think, middle school or something.
78.
And my mom threw a shit fit. And, yeah, what are you doing? Because, the week before he'd taken us to, I don't know, Snow White.
Yeah.
But my dad wanted to see it, so he took us there. And, James Bond movies are really not. They're very tepid.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sex. But my dad would continue to take us to see different kind of movies. At some point or another, my mother completely turned my sister against my dad. So it became just me and my dad on the weekends. And my sister just said, I don't want to go. She wanted Phil to be her dad. was bullshit. And like I said, my mother poisoned my sister against my dad. Anyway, so my dad would take me to adult movies. And I don't know, I got to see Rocky Horror this way. I got to see the Sean Connery Monks movie. What was that?
Name of the Rose.
Name of the Rose. And I also got to see a Paul Boyles movie with Deborah Winger, and I think John Malkovich.
Sheltering Sky.
And so
Which I've never seen. I want to see that.
Those last two movies, in Name of the Rose, there is a scene where the young monk, played by Christian Slater, finds the young girl stealing food in the kitchen. And they end up having sex on the floor. And he's on the floor and she mounts him. And it's pretty visual. And I was a little bit embarrassed. But when I saw Sheltering Sky, I nearly crawled under my seat. There's a scene where Deborah Winger is taken by the Berber tribesmen, and one of them becomes fascinated with her. He puts her on a table, lifts up her skirt, and performs oral sex on her. And it's not very detailed. You just kind of see it from a distance, but you see what's going on. And that was one of those moments where I was like, I would rather not be watching this with my dad. But it's gotten to the point now where I can talk about anything with my dad. Today he was talking about the police stops and how when my stepmom goes between Florida and Georgia visiting family down there, that they will have police stops at the border because Florida doesn't allow you to take in plants and produce and all this other kind of stuff. They have big restrictions because of the industry, the ag industry down there, and they don't want diseases brought in. So they'll try to get you to open up your vehicle and submit to a search and such. And I just said, at this point, I'm going, excuse me? No, you're not going to look in my purse and see tampons and everything else. I couldn't believe it. A moment later, I just said that in front of my dad. I'm still, at this age,
it's
a
funny.
little bit reticent. But I just kind of blurt things out now, just like I say fuck in front of him.
I don't think my dad wants to have that kind of openness.
Relationship with you. No,
right,
he doesn't.
No. And I don't know. I'm just still of a mind that I would have to have his permission before we engaged in a looser type of conversation, Well, we are, what?
Well, this is one of the things I was talking about with Andrew the other week. How you get to this point where you realize that you don't have to have permission to feel a certain way, to believe a certain thing, to broach a certain subject. There's a point in which you become a free-thinking adult on your own.
Let me ask you something related to that.
Yeah.
How do you think, it should be conceptually easy to do this, but it's hard. How do you, okay, what I'm getting at is, you get negative memories, like stuff you did that you hurt somebody's feelings, or you embarrassed yourself, and you're still recriminating with yourself from 50 years ago, stuff you did when you're 7 or 10. And it's like, do I still have to punish myself over this thing,
I can shake off certain types of guilt.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to that self-embarrassment, where you just stick your foot in it, and you're like, oh my God, why did I... That I have a hard time getting over with. I can still feel the same blush of shame over certain things. I think everybody has it. You see it reflected, like, I think Saturday Night Live, one of the co-hosts of the news said something like that time the waiter comes, you have a good day, sir, and you have a good day, and how are you, sir, and how are you, and you keep on with these little cycles of embarrassing things. You're like, they walk away, and you're like, what the fuck did I say?
I still,
with you for years.
There's stuff that happened to me when I was a kid that I go over in my head all the time. And some of it's like, well, I wish this could have happened. But some of it's like painful shit where I'm like, Oh, I'll give you a prime example. So I want to be concrete about this. All right. When I was a little kid, I was an inveterate liar and thief. Okay. Oh, which explains a lot for later years. But anyway, I walked by the front of this kid. It was like third grade. No, it must have been third grade. Yeah. I walked by this kid's desk and swiped a pencil off his desk right in front of him in the middle of class. And the kid starts howling about it. He stole my pencil. He stole my pencil. And the teacher comes over and she's like, "Did you steal his pencil?" "No, I didn't." "I'll tell you exactly where I got it. I made up this elaborate lie how I'd gotten it out of the kitchen that morning in a specific spot. And it was such a detailed lie.
She knew it was wrong.
She's like, how could a 7-year-old come up with such a lie? He must be telling the truth. There was such a good job of telling the truth.
But did the pencil have his name on it?
No. But and even at the time, I'm like, you are really carrying this too far. You should have just gave the kid back his pencil immediately and just shut the fuck up. But it has weighed on my mind now.
No. You should take the pencil and lift it up into the ceiling tile.
I'm 55 years old, and this happened when I was 7, and it still weighs on my mind that I just was a bully to this other kid, and it just irritates me because I'm a negative, hateful memory in this kid's. A bully stole my pencil one time, and the bully turns out to have been me.
I don't regret bullying Jose in high school. But Hosey.
I couldn't stand the motherfucker, so no, I didn't care either. He was an irritating weirdo.
Who always wore the same jacket.
That vest. This
vest.
puffy vest with all these
little
extra little pockets for keeping
and
emergency supplies of nonsense. He rode with the football team he wasn't on the team, but he did.
He was the water boy or
some function
like
that. Yeah. Well, he rode with us on the bus, and oh God.
Yeah, they drug us along.
I can't remember what kid it was. I was a junior, and one of the seniors stuck a twig up Jose's nose while he was taking a nap on the bus, and it was horrible because Jose jumped up like a bug had crawled up his nose.
Well, it might have.
And I felt bad for him because he's being picked on, but at the same time, it was fucking hilarious.
I was going to say, we rarely went with the football team as a drill team. And one of the few times we did, Hosey was on the bus. And I was making fun of him. I was, Hosey. I couldn't stand him.
Oh my God. So many people.
Okay. The first time I ever bullied anybody that I remember was Libby, oh, the label.
Hey, there was a kid on my bus when I was in third grade that knew how to sing that.
Oh, we had a girl, Libby, I don't even know her last name. But I would sing that and taunt her out on the playground when I was in third grade.
Oh my God, all that shit from back then is in my head.
That was the same year I had to be in a class with a girl named Alicia. And everybody knew her as Alicia the Crybaby because she cried at everything.
I'll tell you a memory. You don't know this one. When I was in third grade, Shel Silverstein's where the sidewalk ends was a big deal, and a lot of the teachers were enamored of it and wanted to read stuff out of it to us all the time. So anyway, there's a poem in there about hot cakes, pancakes, something like that, griddle cakes or something. And who wants a pancake? And at the end of the poem it says, terrible Teresa says, I'll take the one in the middle. And we had a girl in the class named Teresa.
Forever after, was she terrible?
And
Teresa?
so when the teacher read it, she knew that was going to be a issue, so she kind of emphasized it and looked at her, and everybody looked at her. We all kind of giggled, So anyway, that just another thing always stuck in my head. I'm not to blame for that though.
Huh.
Should we call it quits? Because we're getting really.
How long have we been at this? It's gotta be over an hour.
Oh yeah,
man.
yeah. It's an hour and 14 minutes.
Jesus. Stop running your mouth. I'll stop running mine.
Okay, I need to make this video at some point. And
Bye. Say goodbye.
okay, bye. Goodbye.
Bye.